speaker tonight's Jay Tilton. Jay is born and raised right here in Putnam County, and now is over our landfill, and he's made phenomenal changes over there. But the other thing I need is Larry Harvey to come up and speak to us about upcoming events. How about that? Oh, you want Jay first? Okay. I can do what I want to up here. Okay, so let's have Jay up here.
I got a little pass along.
I'll pass it out.
If you don't mind, it's kind of just the slide, the PowerPoint that I'm going to be working off of.
All right, we'll do that. You have to go there so you're on camera.
All right.
So we can hear you without you yelling.
Okay.
What? What'd you say? Maybe you shouldn't drink them rude. Something
I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the print. I talk a whole lot better than I am technologically savvy, so trying to get everything on here and not use too many pages, it's a little small, but hopefully you can bear with me tonight and we can have a good conversation. So, like I was introduced, my name is Jay Tilton. I was born and raised here in Putnam County. I moved away for about 10 years to the great state of South Carolina with work, and then came back when I could. So a little bit about me. I started in the garbage business back in 1999, driving a roll-off truck for Adam and Bill Harrington. Y'all remember the SCS dumpsters, right? In fact, at this very university, I had a parking sticker on the back of my Mack roll-off truck that I actually needed so I could park in this parking lot and go to class, so I could go do dumpsters in between class here and at the Orange Park campus, because Adam allowed me to do that while I was trying to get my associate's degree. So I took 2 years off and served a 2-year mission for my church out in the Rapid City, South Dakota area on the reservations. And for an old fat boy from North Florida, I like to froze to death. But it taught me more valuable lessons than anything I've had in my life to this point. And I'll be eternally grateful for the people of South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska, and the way that they treated me, and the way that they made me feel at home, and for the work that we did just trying to be good people and good neighbors up there to those people. So when I got home, I got back in the waste business, went back to work for Adam and Bill, and then we built our own landfill, which is now the Northeast C&D landfill up there off of Environmental Boulevard, and then the economy kicked in. And so I decided to see if any of the big guys wanted me in waste management, called me to South Carolina. I went in as an operations manager of a single landfill, and by the time I was done, I was the district manager over 6 landfills and was the largest landfill operation in the state of South Carolina, taking as much as 7,000 tons a day, powering 60% of the BMW plant up in Greenville, Spartanburg, and powering another 8,000 houses off of the gas that we generated. So, needless to say, I learned a lot, but then the opportunity came back in 2019 to come back home. And Commissioner Turner, we actually met to look at a PUD out there on the farm. He said, "What are you doing now?" And I told him what I was doing. He goes, "You ever want to come back home?" I said, "All the time." He goes, "We need to talk." Wasn't long after that, the job came open. I applied and got the job, and here we are. So, but with all that being said, my greatest accomplishment is the family I have. I'm the father of, I'm the father of 3, and about 2 years ago, a 4th one snuck in there that we've kind of taken care of. And let's just say he now calls me Big Daddy, and he's always at the house. So I guess I'm a father of 4 now these days. A couple of facts about trash. In the United States, we produce 268 million tons of trash a year, with about 140 million of those tons going in the landfill. On average, each person in the United States generates 4.4 pounds of garbage per person per day. In the state of Florida, though, we're a little higher. In the state of Florida, we're at 9 pounds. Most of that is because of the tourism. You got to think of all the people coming through here grabbing a cheeseburger or something on the go. We produce about 9 pounds per person per day. And the solid waste industry generates about $140 billion worth of revenue a year. On the other end of that, though, we are also the 6th most deadliest occupation to get in the United States. I was actually part of a big initiative, the Safety Ambassador Program with our national organization called SWANA. And our goal, we were 5th, but now we're 6th, so we're getting better. But unfortunately, we have way too many accidents in the solid waste industry. And when we have accidents, a lot of times they result in fatalities. Not too long ago, somebody got ran over at the Volusia County landfill a couple of years ago. That was a fatality way too close to home that we had to really talk to our people out here at our landfill because it can happen here. In Putnam County, we generated about 100,000 tons of garbage last year. Now, when I say last year, that is the 23-24 fiscal year. All right, so that is from October 1st of 23 to September 30th of 24. We took in about 169,000 tons because we had some out-of-county garbage coming in that we were using to offset the tax cost, but that went away June 1st of 2024. It went away because the market wanted us to take it at a rate that didn't make sense for the citizens of Putnam County. There are massive landfills just to the north of us that will take garbage at half the price of what we would. And I'm not going to take garbage to try to benefit the citizens of Putnam County unless it's going to make the money that we need to be able to lower your taxes each and every day. So we stopped it. We recycled 7,900 tons of waste last year, but that was through our curbside recycling program. But countywide, we recycled 42,753 tons. That is coming from all the Walmarts, Publix, and the different people who participate in any type of recycling program in the county. So how is our trash handled? Well, it's handled a couple different ways. First, we have 4 different types of garbage that we deal with in Putnam County. We have your MSW, which is called municipal solid waste. Now, municipal solid waste is like your household garbage, the stuff you put out at the curb. The second is the industrial waste, and when I say industrial waste, it's really the same type of materials, it's just where it comes from. The garbage business is kind of funny. So hazardous waste, right? If it's in the actual use container, it's not hazardous. So for our ladies, we use nail polish. I can take an entire semi-load of nail polish, fingernail polish, if it's in the little bottles like you use to put on your nails. But if I get a 55-gallon drum straight from the factory that's got that much in the bottom of it, I can't take it because that's hazardous. It all depends on the container it comes in when it comes to like some of the materials and the way it's labeled, believe it or not. The next is C&D waste, which is construction and demolition. And so when I say that, that's like you're tearing down a house, your dimensional lumber and things like that. And then the last is the recycling that we'll deal with. Most of what we deal with is picked up by the curbs. So Waste Pro is our contractor, and they go around and they hit 34,000 houses a week. That's for the recycling and for the trash pickup, okay? So throughout the county, that's how many stops they make per week. The other part that we do is you have people bringing garbage in from like job sites with the roll-off containers, like I talked about with SCS. You'll see the Waste Pro, now the CWS as they've been sold, and some of the other ones. And then we have our 2 drop-off locations. They're not convenience centers, right, Commissioner? It's not convenient, it's just the other place to drop it off. Then at Huntington, which is down in Crescent City, and in Alarcon. And then we have, it all comes back to our Putnam County Central Landfill. And if you look at the picture that shows the landfill, that's actually the picture, I know it's small, but that is the picture from about 2,000 feet up from a drone this year from our flyover. So every year in April, we have a drone that flies over and does a topography map. And what it tells us is, it tells us how much our landfill has grown from year over year. So they take a topo of what the horizon or what the land looks like, they lay it over what it looked like last year at the same time, and they say you used up this amount of garbage or this amount of airspace, right? Cubic yards. I am proud to announce that we are packing more garbage per cubic yard than has ever been packed at the Putnam County Central Landfill. This year, we're packing 1,660 pounds of garbage in a cubic yard. That's exciting to a landfill guy. It's not really exciting to people who aren't in the landfill business, but that's good. That's really good compared to where we've been. But what that does is just that number improving that much year over year, we've added 3 months worth of life to our landfill that could, if we have to, can push back the building of the next set. That's what that does. And we're going to get into why that matters here in just a little bit. So once the garbage arrives at the landfill, we have 3 jobs. We have to push it to the right spot. We have to pack it in place because, like I just talked about, we're trying to get as much garbage as we can in that landfill, and then we have to get it covered at the end of the day. So at the landfill, you have the area that the trucks come and dump the garbage, and that's the tipping floor. Then you have the place where the garbage actually gets worked. So every day we're building the mountain, right? And so when you build that mountain, the dozer is pushing that garbage from where you dump it out as the citizens or as our customers and taking it to the area where our compactor, which is our money maker, that machine has 6-inch spike wheels and weighs 100,000 pounds. So what does it do? You get that dozer man, he's got to take that garbage and he spreads it out about 2 foot thick, and then my compactor walks over the top of it and he mashes it to about 8 inches. So he's mashing all the air and empty space out of it. And so that's why when you hear about landfill gas is made in a non-oxygen state because we've done mashed all the oxygen out of there before those bugs can go to work. And that's a whole other technical speech for another day. But, so why does it matter? Because this mountain actually has to be built to spec. So when you put in to build a landfill, it's no different than building a house. You have somebody that looks at your permit and they say you have to survey it and it has to be just in the right spot. And we have to build that mountain within a foot of how that slope is supposed to be made. And if it's overfilled, before you can close it out and cap it off, we actually have to go back, take that garbage out and put it somewhere else. So what we do to make sure that we pack as much airspace and as much garbage in there as possible is we actually use GPS. Now, when I first got here, they didn't know what that meant. So what the first thing I did to understand how the outside slopes were being built is I actually brought a surveyor in, and then we took PVC pipe, and if it was, say, a 4-foot field, we cut the PVC pipe at 4 foot and told the compactor man, you got 4 foot of fill right here, and you can't go over the top of this pipe. The thing that we found was that those pipes lasted for about 45 minutes, and then they got ran over in the garbage. So we had to do something that was a little bit more cost effective and actually worked all the time. And so in my previous life in waste management, we had a company by the name of Carlson that we did business with, and they made it to where we could actually 3D model the garbage. You can actually tell where the garbage has been compacted the right way, and that's some of the little pictures that you see. The picture 17 there is actually the layout of the landfill, and you can see where the compactor is working, if you can see it, and again, I apologize. And then you see the next picture actually has a picture of my compactor, and it has the blue and red all over it. That actually tells them if the garbage is compacted. So if you look at where he's been working, and if it's green, that garbage is packed as tight as he's going to get it. So the industry standard is you walk over a piece of garbage 4 times. So that means it's got 2 wheels each side, so you have to go up, back, and then it's really not worth the fuel to go back over it again. But what the GPS tells you is if you go up over across it and then back over it, and if you settle less than 6 inches, that garbage is just about as packed as you're going to get it with that machine and the PSI that it has. So it also helps us be more efficient on where we're actually working, rather than the guys having to guess how tight it is. The GPS says, go somewhere else. You're wasting fuel, right? Okay. And the last thing we have to do is we actually have to cover the garbage. And this is one of the more critical things that we face every day because dirt is not easy to come by. So we actually, at this Putnam County Central Landfill, do a couple different things. One, we have in our permit that we are able to mix the mulch that we make from the yard waste that you guys as citizens bring in. We mix that with the dirt and use that for alternative daily cover. 2, I'm going to talk about it here in just a little bit, but we actually put a tire grinder in a couple years ago. And one of the things we're allowed to do with the shreds from the tires is to mix it with the mulch and the dirt and use it for alternative daily cover. So we're actually getting recycled use out of the tires that we're shredding there at the landfill. The other thing that we do with the tires is they make a great road base, but you don't want to drive over top of it. So you put the tire shreds down, and then you go back over top of it with like a lime rock, and it does a really good job of holding up to the best that it can. But the cover, it helps with several different things. One, our permit says we've got to. Two, it helps control odors. And then three, it helps control vectors. Birds, wild dogs, and things like that that can strangle garbage all over the place. Mr. Wayne Wilkinson and Mr. Miner and those guys, they're very patient with us because we have to come pick up trash off of their places at times where the eagles took the turkey bones and stuff, especially Mr. Wilkinson right next to it. We have to send people by his house every couple of weeks to try to get the trash that the birds string out over there on a regular basis. All right. What are some of the things that we've accomplished since I've been here? Ms. Rhonda, you said 10, 15 minutes, right? Or whatever? Whatever, okay. One, we've been able, with our partners and the out-of-county garbage to bring in, and then the efficiencies that we've been able to do, we've been able to lower the tax assessment by $77 from where it was when I first came here. Last year was the first time it went up since I've been here since 2019. And that was to cover the cost of increase from Waste Pro. Now, unfortunately, things like we're talking about inflation and the price of garbage getting picked up is going to allow us to see a little bit of a bigger hit this year, but we're still not we're still not going to be where we were as long as it's approved back in 2018. We're still going to be less than we were in 2018. But inflation is just catching up to us. The other thing that we're doing is we've started mining for Cell 4B. We paid a company $2.4 million to do that the last time. We're going to do it in-house for about 40% of that cost. Thirdly, we have found existing airspace at the landfill. If you look at the next, at number 24, you'll kind of see a diagram and you'll see how Cell 1 dives off. When I first got here, I looked at that and I was like, why is Cell 1 so much less than the rest of Cell 3? So I went to DEP and I asked why, and they said, well, the piping that they used, they didn't feel like could handle the weight of the material going on top of it. So I went to them and I did some study and I came back with a proposal to see if they could let me put 10 to 15 foot of garbage on top of there, and I felt like what we had under the landfill would be able to handle it, and they agreed. So we spent $25,000 on a permit mod, but it saved us $400,000 worth of airspace we were able to add off of just making a phone call and asking some questions. Not to sound arrogant, it was just like, hey, why won't this work? And in the end, they were like, it will. The last thing that we've done is we've installed a tire processor. We were paying to get rid of tires when I first got here $125 a ton. Our tire processor came to us and said, your tires are too dirty. We don't want them anymore. So we had to go find somebody else. The next person was charging us $320 a ton to get rid of tires, and we were still charging $125. I don't care what business you're in, that doesn't make sense for anybody. So then we found a third one that got us around the $200 range, right? But it was one that they couldn't necessarily guarantee us a long-term deal. So in order to be able to control our own destiny, we went down the rabbit hole of, what if we just put our own tire processor in? The state says that as long as tires are cut in eighths, you can take them all day long at the landfill. So we shred it and see if we can use it for alternative daily cover or road base. Or if I can find an end user from it to get the crumb rubber, spend the extra money and be able to ship it out to somebody who wants to burn it in a kiln, playgrounds, whatever we want to do. We just haven't found that guy yet, but we're still working on it. So we figured we were spending $180,000 to $200,000 a year getting rid of tires. So we got a price. That tire machine cost us roughly $950,000 by the time we did the machine and the barn. So it pays for itself basically in 4 years. Okay? 4.5, doing math. It's been a great success. It's allowed us to expand our opportunities for the tire amnesty days where we allow the citizens to bring in up to 20 tires, and we're looking to expand those things long term for how many tires that you can bring in and look at other opportunities for us to make and utilize that machine. All right. And you can see on slide 25 and 26 what the tire machine looks like. So it comes in the tire machine, up the conveyor, and you see the fella standing there. It goes into the shredder, and then it comes out the conveyor in the shredder, and it goes to what's called a clarifier, and it's basically a screen. Because if it's bigger than 6 inches, it's not going in the landfill. So if it's bigger than 6 inches, it goes right out the side and goes back and gets ground up again. And then once it reaches that capacity, it goes to the outside conveyor, and then we put it up into the landfill, into a dumpster that we take to the landfill. And we do this several times a month. Every 2 or 3 days, we get a full batch. We'll run them all and rock and roll. All right, so what are some headwinds that we're facing? Here's some of the things that we're facing. Inflation, one, everything's going up. I don't care what business you're in, everything's going up. And the price of collecting trash and recycling are going way up. So many of you know we're actually stopping curbside recycling October 1st. Okay? Now there's several things that went into that decision, but here's some of the key points. Waste Pro came to us and said, our 10-year contract is up. We have the renewal for 5 more years. We've got to go up on the price of garbage. So they were getting roughly $12, and I think it was like 60-something cents. And they said, we need to go, if you're going to continue to do recycling, we're going to need to go to $18.59. If you're going to take out recycling, we need to go to $15.89. Okay? So the cost difference is roughly about $40 a household to keep doing recycling. The second part of that is only 15% of the people in the county were actually participating in the recycling program. So 85% of y'all were subsidizing the other 15% to do the recycling. Now, let me talk about recycling in general. As much as we would all like recycling to be what saves the world, unfortunately, it is a business. Recycling works when we're suffering. What do you mean by that? Recycling works when the oil is $100 a barrel and you're paying $4.50 to $5 a gallon for gasoline. Because then it makes sense to take those plastics and turn them back into a usable product. About 10 years ago, China came out with what was called the Green Fence Initiative. What they said is we're not going to take your material, because they're the leader in recycling in the world, unless you can keep the contamination less than 1%. The best MRFs, municipal recycling facilities in the United States that we have, struggle to get less than 7%. So what does that mean? That means there's less markets to take those materials. That means that we got to do a better job of trying to screen it on our end in order for places like that to take it, to actually make it valuable enough to want to recycle. As those contracts come to an end that Waste Pro has, they have to look for new places to take it. So I don't look at this as, well, we're just going backwards with recycling. I look at this as an opportunity for us to restart and do it the right way going forward. We just got to find the right partners. And we got to make it to where everybody wants to participate, or you participate without really knowing that you are participating, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Fourthly, the thing we're struggling with, or headwinds, are, let me back up. So we're looking at somewhere around a 17% increase in our waste fees this year. Jacksonville over the next 3 years is going to see a 252% increase. Right? So we've tried to do what is the best for the interest of the citizens of Putnam County and try to keep this thing mounted. Like I said, we're going to see an increase, but we're still not going to be where we were in 2018. And we're trying to do this the right way and try to make every right decision, because we live here and it matters to us as a department and as a team. Last, finding employees. We struggle. One of the issues that we have at the landfill is we're always training. And we train them right out the door sometimes. And then lastly, regulatory increases. There's such a thing that's coming out. It's called PFAS. Y'all are going to hear about it. It's something that's going to come down the pipe. We're ahead of the game. We're actually going out for a pre-treatment on our wastewater that will actually take care of, if we go with the right person, we'll take care of 98% of PFAS, and we won't worry about it no more. Try to get ahead of that so it doesn't come down on us. So what are our goals going forward? We're always going to be looking for opportunities to save the citizens of Putnam County money. We're always going to be looking for opportunities to upgrade all of our facilities. So we've upgraded the scale house at Central. We're building a new office at Central, all while lowering taxes, by the way. We've rebuilt Interlaken. It's almost done, and we're fixing to do Huntington. So we will have rebuilt every office and building in the solid waste department while lowering solid waste fees. The only reason solid waste is going up this year, y'all, is because waste growth is going up, not because of the landfill. We want to find an end use for our landfill gas. There are opportunities. Like I said, I powered 60% of the BMW plant. I powered 8,000 houses with a joint effort with Santee Cooper right there at Richland County Landfill. We had a turbine and 2 Cat 3520 engines. We could make 8.2 megawatts, and on a good day, we could power 8,000 houses right on the thing. Fourth, we're going to try to partner, and this is something that could be real one of these days, with a gasification company to where we will vaporize the garbage and collect chemicals off the top of it, and we won't be putting garbage in the landfill no more. And that is something we are definitely working with the University of Florida on, trying to get done here in the near future if we can make it happen. We're always looking for a more cost-effective way to treat our wastewater. We need to try to get it to where we can keep it in-house. We're always looking for opportunities for recycle initiatives to rebuild our program. And the last thing that we have, and this is going to happen here in the next year to 18 months, is we're going to put a drop-off station at the central landfill so that the citizens don't have to drive up in the landfill more and more to try to keep from tires getting popped or anything like that. And there's a rendering of a potential of what that barn is going to look like that you'll drive in and throw your stuff in. So in conclusion, the solid waste industry is a complex, highly regulated field and career. Most people don't realize what happens to their garbage after it is picked up. And in this industry, we will strive to be a safe and good environmental steward. If you can accomplish these things, you can be a good neighbor and a true asset to your community. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
Perfect. Hey, thank you. Jay, that was amazing. I had no idea, none, about how our landfill works, why it works. It's really impressive. So I don't know about the rest of you. What do you does anyone have any idea?
I think Alex had a question back there.
I know he does. That's why I'm heading his way.
Jay, how many cells do we have out there now? And what do you do with a cell once you've covered it permanently? Does it eventually get recycled? Kind of a two-part question there.
So right now we have our old, what they call pre-subtitle D, our old unlined area, which is what you see when you first come into landfill on your right. That pasture, that's landfill. So we actually have 4 active cells right now, and we are going to start the construction at the end of next year on cell 4B, and that will be the cell in between the one where the garbage is going in now and the scale house. So what happens is when you build a landfill, you actually at the bottom of it, you put a 60 mil plastic, right? Well, then when we get done, what we will then do, and it's part of trying to capture as much airspace and be in line as possible, we will actually lay a 60 mil plastic over the top of it and seal it up. Now, most places, that's where it ends. What we will do is we'll collect the gas off of it, and the most gas you will ever collect will be the year after you fully cap it, because it's all encapsulated and you can get to it, okay? But until something comes forward that makes financial sense, that's where it will stay. But if something ever comes forward that's worth more to dig it up and put it in something, we're there.
So who would make the decision on what you could power with the gas? I mean,
so what we would do in county government mechanisms, I guess for lack of a better term, is we would put together an RFP, and we would have a team come together, and we would decide through presentations which company we feel like we could partner with the easiest, or where it would be the best to go. Then we would present it to the 5 commissioners, And if they're good with it, then we'll go forward and make sure it makes sense. Now, one of the things that we did do, which was very insightful, is when the new gas line came in for Seminole, they actually had to go across our property to put that gas line in. So part of that easement, we put a tap in. So if we could ever clean the gas up to be good enough, we could actually help feed Seminole the gas off of our landfill if we needed to do it. And there's a tap there just for that, and in the agreement due to the easement, which we allow them to do.
So it has to be a line that goes from the landfill to someplace.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a gas that you can get in a container like a truck and truck it.
Ms. Rhonda, that is really not financially feasible, to be honest with you. You would need to pump it somewhere. So like the BMW plant, we pumped it 8 miles from my landfill there in Weldon, Spartanburg, to the BMW plant to get it there.
Is that methane gas?
Yes, ma'am. So landfill gas is built up of about 54% methane, CH4, right? Then you've got the rest of it is carbon dioxide. Then you've got nitrogen, or what we call balanced gas. It's a mixture of like kind of where the smell comes from. Methane itself is odorless. But when you add like H2S, sulfur smells and all, that's where you get the garbage smells and all for. So it's kind of a balance. And one of the things that you got to do whenever you're trying to make that gas and collect it is actually you have to have the right environment for the gas to have the quality to work in these machines. So what you do is when you dig a hole for a gas well, you dig a 3-foot hole and you put an 8-inch perforated pipe in the middle, you put a rock pack around it, but the top 3 foot you put like bentonite or like a clay plug, or now they use foam, because you don't want to pull oxygen in there and introduce that oxygen into an environment where the bugs that live, they can't have oxygen. So you can kill your bugs if you're sucking air in from the top and lower your production of that well, which allows it to where you can't collect the gas to keep the odors and maybe meet the agreement that you have for whatever you're trying to produce.
One last question, Jay. Are you aware of any landfills that actually use their own gas they siphon off to power incinerators? Or is that feasible?
To power incinerators? So here's what I did in South Carolina. We were having a problem getting rid of our leachate, our wastewater. And we used our own gas to power an evaporator that actually took and was a 10-to-1 reduction. So what we did was, because we had enough gas, we could power the power plant, we could power our wastewater evaporator, but we had to have an electronic valve that said the power plant needs this much gas, the evaporator needs this much gas, and if we had some other gas left over, we'd burn it off in a candlestick flare. I've heard of landfills. The problem is, Alex, is getting it clean enough. Because landfill gas compared to like natural gas and the different things is dirty. So even to use it at the power plant, we had to run it through cold packs that pulled moisture out, that pulled different sort of condensate out in order to get it clean enough to be able to use in those machines. Around here, I don't know of any of them other than doing things like that are used actually as an incinerator to burn garbage.
I was just thinking the dirtiness of the gas or unclean, the contaminants, and it wouldn't really have an effect if you were just burning.
It does over time with the equipment. So one of the things that we struggled with, and I don't want to get too technical,
Sorry.
but one of the things that we struggled with was actually finding a stainless steel that was rated enough to handle the nasties that come from the landfill gas. And so we actually had to change out 2 or 3 things in that evaporator to get it where it would actually hold up and stainless not start cavitating or pitting, right, to where it could handle that environment. Because really, truthfully, what the evaporator was, we all did it as kids, right? You ever take your straw and blow in your milk and it made bubbles? So we pushed in our nasty water, we pushed 6,000 CFM of air, so it was like your milk bubbles, and it had a torch sitting over top of it, ran off of our landfill gas. It got it to 190 degrees and veined it right out the top like a choo-choo steam stack, and then all the solids fell out and went to another tank, and we hauled it back up to the landfill. So, yeah.
That sounded pretty interesting. You said like later down in the future something about, is it UF or UNI? Something
UF, a gasification project.
The vaporize.
Mm-hmm. So we are working. In fact, we're working with a Mr. Bruce Welt, on a project that would be a trial. But if it works and we can get it to come here to Palatka, would be one of the greatest things that we've done here in a long time, because we will be able to handle our garbage in that way, and collect the vapors off the top of what they have to do to get a syngas. And they make everything from plastic bags to medicine off of that. And it's a premium because Professor Welk, or Dr. Welk, whatever he goes by, I know him as Bruce, but he's not a garbage guy. He's a packaging guy. And so these chemical companies are wanting this methanol or syngas that is made from recycled materials, because all the packaging companies want to be able to stamp on there, made from recycled material. But it's hard to get the feedstock to actually be able to do it. So that's why we're seeing, we've got the place and we've got the garbage. Now y'all bring the technology and let's roll.
All right, any other questions? Jay, thank you so
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
I know that I thought, when I first found out all the stuff that was going there, how interesting it was. I hope you enjoyed that as much, because we just don't know what we don't know.